The home front involves the activities of the civilians in a nation at war. Because World War II was a total war, homeland support became even more invaluable to both the Allied and Axis powers. Life on the home front during World War II was a significant part of the war effort for all participants and had a major impact on the outcome of the war.
Governments became involved with new issues such as rationing, home defense, evacuation in the face of air raid, and work distribution among the war effort industry. The morale of the people responded to leadership and propaganda.
Women were called upon to take over jobs traditionally held by men. They worked in factories producing aircraft, ammunition, weapons, and other goods. The American government and people learned from their experiences on the home front during World War I and tried to use its lessons and avoid its mistakes.
Rationing. Germany cut off supplies, transportation by introducing violence to land, air, and sea. This caused the U.S. government to enforce rationing, which allowed each person to have only a fixed amount of a popular commodity.
War ration books and tokens were issued to each American family, dictating how much gasoline, tires, sugar, meat, silk, shoes, nylon, and other items any one person could buy. Across the country, 8,000 rationing boards were created to administer these restrictions. The 1943 Sears, Roebuck & Co. catalog contains a list of all rationed farm equipment and tells the reasons and benefits of rationing, as well as who is eligible.
Even chicken wire fencing was rationed. A wartime edition of the American Women's Cookbook contained revised recipes and gave advice on dealing with food shortages.
Unemployment fell to a low of 1.2% in 1944. Average weekly pay rose 10% during the war. Farmers during this time prospered while women received men's jobs. African Americans moved away from the South. The war managed to break many families, but also created many. Discrimination was rough between 1940 to 1944. In 1942, James Farmer created the Congress of Racial Equality to confront segregation.
One month after Pearl Harbor, President Roosevelt proclaims that victory over the aggressor nations is now our country's highest priority. FDR's impossible 1942 production goals of 60,000 aircraft, 45,000 tanks, 20,000 anti-aircraft guns, and 8 million tons of shipping are intended to strike fear into the enemy and to mobilize the home front. Victory becomes the catchword behind America's war aims, and the word sacrifice suddenly has new meaning. Following the attack on Pearl Harbor, a wave of anti-Japanese hysteria sweeps the West Coast. Fears of sabotage and further invasion are fanned by a rabid Hearst press, politicians, business protectionist groups, and the military. The American people quickly begin to look for a scapegoat. At the War Department's urging, President Roosevelt signs Executive Order 9066, authorizing the removal of all Japanese Americans from the Pacific Coast. In one broad stroke, the civil liberties of over 100,000 American citizens are shattered.
Internment of Japanese Americans. General Delos Ammons forced to order internment or confinement of Japanese Americans in response to the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Japanese fought for justice, but the Supreme Court ruled that evacuating Japanese Americans was illegal. After the war, the Japanese American Citizens League pressured the government for lost property, and in 1965, Congress granted them $38 million. One front and one battle, where everyone in the United States, every man, woman, and child is in action. That front is right here at home in our daily lives. That's a quote from FDR in his address to the nation, April 1942.